Military Reserve Base, to Headquarters 4th Air Force, and to the promotion ceremony in honor of Brigadier General Robert E. Duignan. Our presiding official is Major General John J. Batby, Jr., Vice Commander, Air Force Reserve Command. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the arrival of the official party. Please remain standing for the playing of our national anthem and the posting of the colors by the 4th Air Force Color Guard.
Left wheel. Freeze there. Mark. Left wheel. Arc.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chaplain Colonel Robert E. Parlox.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we ask your blessing upon this very special time for our commander and his family, and for all of us in 4th Air Force. Promotion affirms past accomplishments and contributions and anticipates future contributions. Since assuming command, we have discovered the special giftedness of General Duignan. His concern for people is seen in the way he interacts with us and his willingness to engage us. In these unique times for 4th Air Force, his leadership is most important, as is our support for him as a staff and as subordinate units. Enable his vision to be clearly perceived. May he be fortified in your strength, granting wise counsel and assistance in fine-tuning his decisions, especially in these times of transformation. May he continue to be a catalyst of change, a stabilizer in time of turmoil, and a constant voice of hope. We ask your continued blessing, O Lord, upon our commander and his wife as we celebrate his promotion. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. We appreciate your attendance at today's ceremony, and we are honored to have in attendance several distinguished visitors. Representing Congresswoman Mary Bono, Ms. Karen Brown. Brigadier General Richard Roth, Mobilization Assistance to the Judge Advocate General, Headquarters Air Force, the Pentagon. Brigadier General Donna Dasher, Deputy Commander, 630th Regional Support Command, Army Reserve Center, Maj Gen Reserve Base, California. General Thomas Geisler, Commander, 349th Air Mobility Wing. Brigadier General Richard Severson, Commander, 459th Air Refueling Wing. Brigadier General Murray Bywater, United States Air Force, retired. Representing Supervisor Marion Ashley for the Riverside County Board of Supervisors, 5th District, Ms. Robin Hampton. Council Member, Mr. Charles White, City of Moreno Valley. President, Riverside Chamber of Commerce, Mrs. Cindy Roth. Director, Moreno Valley Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Jamil Dada. Director, Joint Powers Authority, Mr. Phil Rizzo. And Chief Dennis Kirkland, Command Chief Master Sergeant, 4th Air Force. Let's all give them a nice round. And now we would like to extend a very warm welcome to the family of our promotee. General Duignan's wife, Karen, their daughter, Colleen, General Duignan's uncle, Tom, his sister, Sharon McKenzie, and her husband, Tom, and his cousin, Steve Anderson, and his wife, Charlotte. Thank you for sharing this special occasion with us, and welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, Major General Patton.
I knew that was going to happen. Can we talk about that? I'll put it in my pocket so this works. Is this a great location to have a promotion ceremony? Yeah. This is beautiful. And I'm told that Gone with the Wind premiered here at this facility. It's a true statement, right? We're back second. You can test this. It's a great facility. Family and friends from the local community, military members, fellow general officers, welcome to this day. It's an honor to be able to come up and pin a star on Bob Duignan. He certainly earned it. I'm going to tell you that he didn't just fall off the turnip truck and walk into this building and we're going to pin a star on him. I want to tell you a little bit about what it took for him to reach this spot here today. Bob is from the Northwest, went to the University of Washington. So he is a Husky, and I'm told don't make the mistake of calling him a Cougar because he'll probably come out and punch me out. But graduated in 1973 from University of Washington through the ROTC program. We came to our Air Force, started in 1974, and immediately went off to Laughlin Air Force Base where he earned his wings down in Texas. Graduated in 1975. Immediately came to Travis Air Force Base where he became a C-141 pilot. And that's kind of been the majority of his 5,000 hours of the 141. He was an acknowledged expert in that and learned to fly it very, very well. Very credible individual in that particular aircraft. Worked at the 7th Military Airlift Squadron for 5 years, basically, from 75 to 80. Learning to be a pilot, basic pilot, going on to be an aircraft commander, going on further to be an instructor pilot, and then ultimately becoming a flight examiner for the 7th. Learning his basic skills and kind of paying his dues in the trenches as a squadron basic pilot. Put his 5 years in on active duty and decided to get off and join the reserve program. Came across the street at Travis and worked for a year as a chopper, which a lot of us are familiar with, and then got picked up to be an Air Reserve technician and joined us full time. He basically did the same thing for the next 4 years with the 708 Airlift Squadron of the 349th Airlift Wing at the time. Still up at Travis, hasn't moved anywhere yet. And did that for 4 years, learning the Director of Operations business. And again, excelling, doing it very, very well. And after 4 years there, I got called to Andrews in the 459th Airlift Wing, where he was recognized as the Director of Operations. And did that for about 2 years. And again, not very long for a DO. And there's a reason for that, because he was on the fast track, and I think everybody realized it. One of the things that came next in his life was we need to give him some professional military education to kind of enhance his knowledge a little bit. He's been getting into the leadership stuff. He's been flying airplanes, being an expert in 141. and you need to go further. And by the way, I think you had a little bit of time in the C5 somewhere around that time, very little, before you found Andrews. Let's make the faces better. And he put in for a school, and not just any school. The Air War College is a typical one that you go to try to get promoted. For the special schools like the National War College and the Industrial College and Armed Forces, we kind of pick the best of the best to send individuals off to those particular schools. Bob got picked for the Industrial College, and in '91 went off for a year to Fort Wesley J. McNair in Washington and graduated from the ICAF school. A real feather in his cap. And I got to tell you, that is not an easy school. It is, you're not going to improve your golf game going through ICAF, right? And he never had a golf game anyway, so coming out of there, we like to recognize our leaders when they go through the formal schools and try to get them into a command position following that, which we did. Sent them off to Rickenbacker Air National Guard Base in '92 and take over command of the 907th Airlift Group, and a small organization up there that was getting ready to move to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. We sent Bob up to make that happen, moved the unit down to Wright-Patterson in '93, got promoted along the way to colonel, and made the transition a real success, and got the new organization up and running right there. About a year later, we converted the 907 to a pull-up wing to the 445th Airlift Wing. He did that for 5 years as a commander there, getting promoted to Brigadier General. And I think the biggest thing that happened to him, I think he ran into this young lady, Karen, while he was there at Wright-Patterson, and did the right thing and married her. And I think that's going to help him down the road as I describe his future trials and jobs he's had as we challenged him down further. So Karen, I know that you're the real push from this point on with Bob, as he's had multiple challenges from that point. And I thank you for your sacrifice. I think what I'd tell you is the first couple paychecks go to you, by the way, for all the promotions. And go out by your own by half fun. On behalf of the government, I'm encouraged and we recognize your effort in this, so thank you very much. And I know Colleen was along with the ride, and thank you, Colleen. 5 years at Wright-Patterson, 1-star general. Where do you go from there? You did a great job. And I started meeting Bob at conferences at that time. And, I was really impressed with his presence and the well-spoken attitude that he had and his desire to improve the reserve system. Boss recognized that and took him up to Washington in 1999 as the deputy to the chief of the Air Force Reserve. Everybody that's gone through that job has gone on to get multiple stars. They've all been superstars in their own right. If you think back to John Bradley and Sam Carpenter and others that have gone through there, they've all done very, very well. Bob Duignan is no exception. Spent 3 very turbulent years in the Pentagon. He was in the building 9/11 when the aircraft hit the other side of the Pentagon. We were just looking at some pictures of where that blew on through the building. Thank God it went into the area it went into. It was vacated. A lot of people that had been there 3 weeks prior was on the opposite side where Bob was. We actually felt the building shake and the concussion from the explosion. And I guess they said an hour and a half afterwards, smoke will start to fill up the other side of the Pentagon. So, but what that signaled was the turmoil that was going to be coming his way for the next year or so, trying to deal with all the stuff that generated from that, all the mobilizations, all the actions we had around the world, all the things that funding problems that occurred as a natural follow-on. Bob did those outstanding fashion. It is not an easy job to sit in the Pentagon down in the bowels of the basement talking about major issues that impact our Air Force Reserve and our Air Force. Bob was a great spokesman. He's the right guy to have there at that time and did a great job for us. And I know I was benefactor down in command of what he did, and I communicated with him daily. And I thank him for that. All the stuff he did for us it was absolutely fantastic. The best news is that he escaped in 2002. He's got one of those pictures, I think, of the Pentagon, the rearview mirror with the Pentagon in the rearview mirror. It's a highly cherished thing by anybody who works in the Pentagon. In fact, I think he's got 2 of them. Puts one in his bathroom and one in his bedroom. And came down to the headquarters. And became the Command's Plans and Program Officer, the XP. And being a Formula One, I again know how hard that job is and what that's all about. Bob came in, he did for about a year, and because of his time at Pentagon, we didn't have to spin him up. He was already spun up and did a lot of great things. And I got to tell you, the Air Force Reserve, the Air Force and military is transforming right before our eyes, and this gentleman has a lot to do with where we're going to be headed in the next several years, in this 1 year as the XP. And to follow that up, we rewarded him. We're going to give him a little bit of a respite to come out here to 4th Air Force. I know how great this organization is, all the wings here, so he's going to be able to relax and rely on a lot of these wing commanders out here to continue to do great things we've been doing over the years and kind of reap all the rewards and benefits, to include the star we're going to give him in the minute here. He's done a great job. I've only seen him flustered once in my career. It happened yesterday. And for those, who was at the conference yesterday? And all these people will remember that Bob got up there and said that the closing remarks, anybody got any comments or questions? One young man way in the back says, hey, you're getting promoted. You buy everybody in the building here? And I'm doing the mental math. It's got to be about $6 grand. So, his cheeks kind of puffed up and he went red. And he says it only took him a second to come up with an answer, but I'll tell you, it seemed like about 5 minutes to get it. So it was a great tap dancing routine. And he got out of it gracefully. I forget the remark, but I think it was along the lines of thank you for your input. And you like your new job. Okay, that's all nice stuff, and it culminates 30 years and results in him sitting here today. But that's not the reason we're going to give him a second star. When they looked at the board, the people we got out there, a lot of people have done similar things, and they're good people, and we just don't give a star based upon past performance. It's what we expect Bob to do in the future for us, and this is going to open up a new challenge for him. We're going to look at him in different ways and ask for his guidance and leadership as the Air Force Reserve transforms even further down the road. He's going to be a key player in it, and we need him to have a second star so he deals with the people outside of our organization, that he's on an even keel and can make the changes that we need in the Air Force. So, that being said, Bob, if you'll join me up here, we'll do that.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Attention to orders. The President of the United States, acting upon the recommendation of the Secretary of the Air Force, has placed special trust and confidence in the patriotism, integrity, and abilities of Brigadier General Robert E. Duignan. In view of these special qualities and his demonstrated potential to serve in the higher grade, Brigadier General Duignan is promoted to the permanent grade of Major General, United States Air Force Reserve, effective 6 February 2004, by order of the Secretary of the Air Force. Mrs. Duignan and Colleen and Uncle Tom, please come forward.
Frogs on it. What the Air Force got to help? I got it. Okay, we're going to reaffirm the officer's oath right now, and we'll go through this. I state your name.
I, Robert E.
Having been appointed Major General in the United States Air Force Reserve,
Having been appointed Major General of the United States Air Force Reserve,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will
bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely,
that I take this obligation freely,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office
upon which I'm about to enter, so help me God.
upon which I am about to enter, so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Major General Robert E.
General Mackey, thank you. Fellow general officers, community leaders, men and women of the 4th Air Force, and especially my family. Karen is got a special drive behind me. We've moved 3 times in the last 4 years, and it's amazing. She is the best packer and unpacker in the business. Yeah, the good part about the short time down at AFRC is we didn't quite get all the boxes unpacked, so all they had to do was put new stickers on them as they moved them. Colleen lives up in Boston. She left for Boston when we moved from Wright Pat to the Pentagon, and she's made the trek out here quite a few times, and I'm glad to have her. My Uncle Tom is my father's youngest brother. My father passed away a few years ago, and since then Tom's taken a special interest in me. Yeah, he lives in New York. We've been always real far away, but it's a great pleasure to have you, sir, and I know that my dad was really proud of you. My sister Sharon, she's a lifelong resident of Seattle, except for about 3 years down in Oakland. Her